Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War. Today, we've got two real heavyweights by two legendary bands, and also they happen to be my two favorite bands of all time. So this is going to be a tough one for me. But both of these albums are amazing for a lot of different reasons. All right, for one, released in 1972. It's their sixth studio album overall, third with the Mark II lineup of the band. The other is their fifth studio album overall with their classic lineup. Okay, so I think you have obviously an idea who we're talking about here. So we've got Machine Head from Deep Purple versus Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. All right, so this is a 10-round fight to the death. All right, and so what do we got here? So both albums have great kickoff tracks, right? It doesn't get much better than Highway Star, a legendary tune. Okay, one of their most popular songs, a great drive-in tune with some cool Blackmore riffing, a stupendous Blackmore solo, great organ work from John Lord, Ian Gillan shrieking up a storm. That pairs very well with Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the title track that kicks off there. Two phenomenal songs. Okay, and among my favorites from the band. But more stuff from Machine Head. So, this was and is still looked at by many fans as probably the pinnacle of their career. Arguable, right? Some people, like myself, cite In Rock. Other people look at Burn, perhaps, or maybe Perfect Strangers, right? They've got a lot of really, really strong albums. But, this one's got, like, all the mega tracks on it. Okay, a lot of the popular tunes from this album were featured on the Made in Japan live album, right? So I know for some, myself included, some of the songs on here approaching a little burnout, right? We've heard them quite a bit, but it's still a classic album and top to bottom just filled with great songs. So what else we got in here? Maybe I'm a Leo, one of the underrated gems from this particular album. Love that song. Kind of bluesy, kind of heavy, right? What else? Pictures of Home. Another great tune off of this album that the band in its current incarnation have been playing a lot in recent years. What else we have? Never Before. Great tune. Good rockin' song. Of course, you got Smoke on the Water, the most legendary guitar riff of all time. Probably one of those riffs that every young fledgling guitar player learned how to play when they were, 12, 13, 14 years old, whatever. Lazy. A little bit of vocals from Ian Gillan, but mostly that's a just great excuse for some Blackmore guitar and John Lord Hammond organ. Stupendous stuff. The Mighty Space Truckin'. Gotta love that tune, right? Another legendary song. It's kind of heavy. It's got the great Hammond organ. You got Ian Pace just doing his thing on the drums. What an underrated drummer, man. Roger Glover on the bass, Blackmore's guitar, and if you would go see them play that live back in the day, that could be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes long, right? What else we have here? And as a kind of B-side for the album, which they put on later CD issues, When a Blind Man Cries. Cool little haunting bluesy tune. So, top to bottom, hard to beat. Martin Birch sitting in the engineer's chair, right? It's a great sounding album. Songwriting at its peak. This was probably the album that really made Deep Purple the mega band they were for about 3, 4, 5 years. Especially here in North America. And this album went multi-platinum. Okay, this, I believe, here in North America has sold in excess of 2 million copies. So a really good seller, classic. Like I said, many of those tracks on there are considered some of Deep Purple's best. All right, all depends on your mileage. Like for me, I generally reach for In Rock over this. Okay, I love Fireball too. I almost picked Fireball today, but I decided to go with this one. But anyway, so that's that. Okay, classic for a reason. On to this beast. This is one of those Sabbath albums. So I've been a Sabbath fan actually longer than I've been a Deep Purple fan. Not by much, by about a year or so. And when I was first getting into the early Sabbath stuff, I always prefer, Volume 4 is my favorite Sabbath album, and I love Master of Reality, and I love Paranoid. Paranoid is the kind of game-changer album for me, but I don't listen to Paranoid as much anymore because I've heard it a million times. All right? Still love the first album. And this album I always really liked, but it wasn't like among my favorites. But as I've gotten older, I have really grown to appreciate this much, much more. This is a top echelon Sabbath album, especially from those early years. Their first 5, 6, 7 albums They're legendary for a reason, and most classic Sabbath fans, hold each one of them really, really high. You can make an argument for Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die not quite being up to par with all the ones that came before it. That's how I feel about them, even though I still like Technical Ecstasy a lot. I'm not a big fan of Never Say Die, and you've heard that from me before. I know there's plenty of you out there who are like, oh, Never Say Die is great. Well, that's cool if you like it. I don't hate it. I find Never Say Die kind of a little weaker than all the ones that came before. But that's a topic for another time. You've already heard me discuss that here. We're talking about Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, right? So what do we got? Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, the title track. One of the greatest riffs of all time, right? Such a heavy tune. Well constructed. A national acrobat. Here's where the band, kind of started on volume 4, but here's where the band started experimenting with some kind of longer instrumental passages, a little more complex, a little bit of prog coming into play, which would really rear its head on the follow-up, Sabotage. But National Acrobat, great underrated tune from the band. You got Fluff, little acoustic thing from Iommi, right? Sabracadabra, great tune, right? Killing Yourself to Live, that's heavy. Rampage and Sabbath at their best. Who Are You? Never a huge fan of that song. It's okay. Probably one of the weaker tunes on here. Looking for Today. Good tune. Little bit of kind of, melodicness coming into the band right there. Okay. Very hummable, memorable track. Good track. Okay. Not as heavy as some of the other stuff on here. It's got its moments though. And then Spiral Architect. Probably one of the unsung gems in this album. So some really, really great songs here. Right off the bat, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, title track, National Acrobat, Sabracadabra, Killing Yourself to Live, and Spiral Architect for me. Hard to beat that, right? So what do I think, guys? This is hard. I did this to myself, right? And, I try never to put my two favorite bands up against each other, but sometimes that kind of makes it fun. Because it's like, well, you know what? It's like, I like Purple a little bit better than Sabbath, okay? Although I would say that when I was younger, I was a much bigger Sabbath fan. As I've gotten older, I've grown to appreciate Purple more, and Purple have kind of risen ever so slightly above Sabbath on my favorites list. But these are still my two favorite bands of all time. Okay, even though I don't listen to this album as much anymore, I probably listen to this more than I do this. It's hard to deny the top to bottom excellence of this album. It really is. Not that this isn't. Okay? I'm going to go, if you ask me this 2 weeks from now, I might give you a different response. I don't know. I love both of these dearly. Again, I listen to this more nowadays than I do this, just because half of this album, I've heard a lot over the years, right? And, I don't really need to listen to it as much anymore. But, man, there's no denying, Highway Star and Smoke on the Water and Space Truckin' and Pictures of Home, Maybe I'm a Leo, Lazy. I mean, come on. It's just near perfection. For me, I got to go with Machine Head. By the slimmest of margins, all right? A split decision. 115, 113, 115, 112, 115, 114. Split decision, all right? It's close. You guys may disagree. Some of you may agree. So curious to hear what you think. Sabbath Bloody Sabbath versus Machine Head. Today, I'm going to go with Machine Head. I might change my mind in a couple weeks. Who knows? All right. But I love them both. You can't go wrong with either album, right? And it's kind of pick 'em at this point. So, but I'm going to go with these guys. So there's your winner. Split decision. Machine Head over Black Sabbath. But you know what? We got to call an immediate rematch, right? Got to. So maybe tomorrow you'll be seeing another Deep Purple versus Black Sabbath battle. Who knows? Who knows what we might have? Or maybe down the road a little ways. Maybe they need a little time to go and watch the videotape, see what they did wrong, right? As they prepare for the eventual rematch. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just having fun. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube as often as possible. Tune in daily for more classic album wars, right? Tonight, tune in, 7:11 Eastern Standard Time, p.m., 4:11 Pacific Time. Music Without Boundaries, JeffYoungJams.com. I will be guesting with Jeff tonight. We've got a spooktacular program. We're going to be talking about our love for classic horror and monster movies and tying that in with songs that have to do with classic horror and monster movies, right? So a lot of good ghoulish tunes tonight by some of your favorites. All right, just think, what songs do you know by your favorite bands that have to do with classic monsters or horror themes or whatever? We've been digging them out of our repertoire, out of our collections to come up with a good show for you. So it's 4 hours of Monster Mash tonight, as well as Jeff is going to appear on this show. We're going to do 10cc top 10 songs. So don't miss either of them. All right, if you happen to miss the broadcast tonight on Music Without Boundaries live, it'll be available tomorrow in the archive, so you can listen to it at your leisure, and you can come here on YouTube and watch our shows anytime you like. So don't miss out on all this great stuff, and we'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.